Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I go from looking a slightly hot mess to amazing and glamorous. Pretty much really quick. Not really quick, but it is a simple and easy makeup tutorial to follow. So if you're interested in learning how I achieve this look, please keep on watching. Alright guys, so as always, I start by spraying my face with some type of priming spray or setting spray, and I use the Smashbox primer spray. And my primer of choice for today was the Fenty Beauty Soft Matte Primer. I like this primer just because it does actually help to make my pores disappear. And then for my foundation today, I'm actually using the Huda Beauty Flawless Foundation. I'm using the shade Mocha, and again using that same trick by using my finger to apply the foundation in larger areas, and then going in with my beauty blender and blending everything out. I do want to apologize for the lighting in this video. It kind of goes from this to a little bit brighter. I am still trying to play around in my room and just see what looks good, what doesn't look good. So I think I finally figured it out, as you'll see later on in the tutorial. But here you'll see I'm just using my beauty blender, blending out the foundation, making sure to get into my hairline, because you don't want just a circle face. You want to make sure that you apply foundation all over the face, and make sure you get a little bit underneath the jawline as well. Next up, I always comb through my brows, get them going up and outwards the way that I like them. And then I'm going to take some concealer. You can use any concealer of your choice, or you don't have to. It's kind of up to you. But I like to use a thicker concealer with a flat liner brush and just kind of define my arch. But this also just goes ahead and helps me to highlight under the brow bone without having to do too much later on. So next up is going to be concealer. I'm using the Fenty Beauty concealer. I'm using the shades 390 and also 430. You'll notice that all of my concealers have a more warm undertone to them. I find that this helps to go ahead and make the dark circles disappear, because I am kind of suffering from those, being that I'm always up all night and I can't sleep all day. So I'm using my beauty blender to go ahead and blend everything out. I'm still going to blend out the concealer on my eyelids as well, but this one will act as a base for our eyeshadows later on in the tutorial. And then I'm just flipping the beauty blender back onto the side where I used to blend out my foundation, and I'm just making sure to kind of blend between the lines. You don't want it to just be concealer and then foundation. You want it to be a seamless kind of gradual from light to dark, dark to light, so that way it seems natural even though we've highlighted to oblivion. So yeah, next up I'm going to take the Fenty Beauty setting powder. As you can tell, Fenty Beauty seems to be a little bit on the favorite side for me, but I do like this powder because I like the color payoff that it gives. It also sets the face beautifully, and I don't find that my drier areas are crepey with this setting powder. I'm also going to set the eyelids, the chin area, the nose, and the forehead. I just want to make sure everything is blended out before setting. And then I'm taking my big fluffy powder brush and adding my foundation powder of choice, just lightly, because this foundation is super full coverage, as you can see. So I'm just making this set everything in place so that it doesn't move as I'm doing my eyeshadow next. Alright, so today's video I'm using the Jackie Aina times Anastasia Beverly Hills collab. I really enjoy this palette and it's super versatile, I find. So for my crease or slash transition shade, I'm going to be using the color Supreme. As you notice, this part of the video, it seems a little bit darker. This is where I start to realize that I need to change some things up. So I kind of paused in the middle of my filming and kind of changed some things up. And when I come back, you'll see that it is brighter. You can see the colors as they truly look. So yeah, just hold off with me and here we go. So the next shade I'm going to be using is called Big Wig. It's a beautiful purple shade. I'm using this a little bit below Supreme. First, I'm actually going in and tapping the shade first before blending. I want to make sure to tap the shade in the areas where I want the most color payoff, and then from there we'll blend the edges so that it's not a harsh line. I'm doing this for both eyes, of course. Very important tip. You want to make sure that as you're packing on color and blending, that you kind of stop what you're doing, take a step, look back, and see if you need to add more color on one eye. Do you need to blend a little bit more? You want to make sure you take that extra step so you're not having to go back in and redo certain steps. So for my lid shade, I'm using the shade Shookington, and it's a beautiful iridescent purple shade. I'm also going to be using a flat shader brush and spraying my brush with setting spray because I really want this shade to be as pigmented as possible. Plus, this also helps with fallout, making sure that I have no fallout when I'm applying the shade. Shimmer shades tend to be where all of the not all of the foundation, but all of your eyeshadow falls out. So a good trick is to spray your brush with a little bit of setting spray and everything stays on the face, or on the eyes rather. As you can see, I'm just doing patting motions. I'm not going in and quickly swiping the color on. That also adds to fallout if you go straight in and just swipe. You want to make sure you're patting, pressing the eyeshadow into the eyelid so that you get the most color payoff as well. Next, I'm taking a really small definer brush, a little bit more of that Big Wig, and just kind of blending around the edges of Shookington so that way it's no harsh lines between the shadows. I'm not going for a cut crease, so I don't want anything to be super precise, but I still want you to be able to tell what the colors are doing. So the last little step before moving on, I'm going to take a big fluffy powder brush and I'm going to brush any fallout that may have fell on the cheeks. I'm going to brush that all away. And then next step is going into eyeliner, which I live and love the Urban Decay 24/7 pencil in the shade Perversion. I feel like it is the blackest black you can ever find. Taking a really small definer brush, I'm taking Big Wig. I'm going to apply that underneath the lower lash line, And then taking a fluffy brush, I'm going to take Supreme and just make sure to blend that out. I don't want it to be a harsh line underneath the lower lash line. So off camera, I applied lashes and I also did my brows and added some mascara to the top and lower lashes. Just because it had been a while since wearing lashes, so I didn't want to be in here screwing up everything. But as you can see, lashes are done, mascara is done, and eyebrows are done. So we're gonna go into contour. For today's choice, I'm actually going to be using the MAC Studio Finish Powder in the shade NW58. It's the darkest shade they have from my knowledge, with a big kind of, it is a big fluffy brush, but I would say more so for either bronzing or contouring, or even blush you could use it for. So I'm using that to contour the areas, of course, the cheekbones, the forehead, jawline, because mine is spreading, lol. And then I felt like I added a little bit too much, so I'm just taking my powder brush and going on top just to blend everything out so it's not a harsh line or harsh area. Next, I am actually going to go in and contour my nose, because like I said, it's either all or nothing. So I'm gonna, snatch this nose up, get it back right, get it small again, because it's starting to spread as well, so I need it to go back to the way it was. But I'm taking a small definer brush and making sure to blend everything out, then taking my powder brush again, just going over those areas. My blush and highlight come from this trio from Sephora collection. They're actually pretty new and they blend like a dream, and they're only $14. So when you can, get you one of those. But anyway, this is the one that I feel is brown girl friendly. I'm using the blush, of course, adding just a little bit of color to the cheek, and then I'm going to use the gold shade in that trio palette as my highlighter. I'm also going to use that in the inner tear ducts of my eyeshadow. That's a little trick that I always do. Whatever I use as my highlighter, I tend to use it in the inner tear ducts most of the time, just so everything blends together and is a cohesive face. Here you can see that I am taking a kind of a denser blending brush, and I'm just blending between the lines before I do my lips and before I set my face with setting spray. I always use the Urban Decay All Nighter. It's a favorite, it's a staple, it works. At least it works for me. So it's one of those things I don't see me changing for a while. For my lip combo, I'm using the Sephora collection lip pencil in molasses. It is also a staple in all of my routines. My lipstick of choice is the Sephora Collection Lip Stories in We. It's number 3, and We meaning OUI. And then my gloss of choice is a Bare Minerals Lip Lacquer in the shade Babe. So I'm just adding this, blending everything together. You can even use your finger to blend if blotting isn't working. And this is the completed look. As you can tell, I was feeling myself. So if you enjoyed watching, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and just stay tuned for more to come. I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for watching.